Another item I'm going to be replacing is the rear toe pull arm, which I believe is this. Not sure how easy this will come out, if easy at all. I think my main problem area is going to be trailing arm, but I'll see if I can get this punched out and also replaced. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get this knocked out. Took the other side off. This wasn't too difficult. Pop the pin out, remove this, which I believe is a 17 millimeter. Then the rear front nut will spin off. That is a 19 millimeter. But make sure you do get this bracket. It's like a brake bracket, which is a 12 millimeter. And it's one nut pops off, and you can drop the bracket off. And you know, with this little piece here, with this hardware, I believe I reused most of it, so my alignment's gonna be totally jacked. But I have to get an alignment anyways immediately after I get all this stuff installed, so not unexpected. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this and take a look at the trailing arm. All right, we got the rear diff brace up here, 17 millimeter nut and bolt in the back, and I just put a little bit of pressure on the diff here so it doesn't takes a little bit of the pressure off the bolts. All right, we have the Torque Solutions diff brace and the stock one. This one's actually looks a little bit narrower, but it's got the poly bushings and just feels more solid, I guess you could say. Being, I guess it's a billet piece. I guess they have a solid one as well, but I didn't want to be a full solid, which would just probably be annoying since I'm not a race car driver. So we'll be putting this on, and it is two 14 millimeter bolts. 17 millimeter bolts and nuts, and two 17 millimeter nuts. So when this goes up in here, the nuts go through here, this recessed part, and bolt into the diff with their two studs. So kind of a pain in the ass to get on the driver's side one because the exhaust is kind of in the way. And yeah, so fun times. Decided to go ahead and pick up a bushing press kit from AutoZone. So I'm going to try to do these trailing arm bushings. Not really sure if I'm going to do the upper control arm or not. Kind of looks like a pain in the ass, but I don't know, maybe. Is that how hard it is to get this thing punched out of the knuckle here? Maybe it's not too bad. So first I'm gonna go ahead and put the diff brace back on so I can take my jack back and then use it for holding the knuckle up while I try to do the trailing arms. So guess I'll get started on that. Rear diff brace installed. It's two bolts with two nuts on the corners, and then underneath the center is two nuts, and they're all 17 millimeter. So I couldn't find an exact torque spec, but it seems like the rule of thumb for the 17 millimeter is about 89 pounds. So that's what I put on all four of them, and now I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get off these trailing arms and have fun with that mess. Rear trailing arm is off. 17 millimeter bolt, nut, pretty much like most of the suspension parts. I got the SuperPro bushings. These are for the front part. It's the rear part, which is a different kit. I'm gonna have to push the bushing off of the hub assembly for the rear one. Hopefully I can just leave it up on there and push it off without having to remove the entire assembly. And this one looks like it'll be a lot easier. I can just push it off here in my house with the bushing kit. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get that off and install the SuperPro bushings. Took quite a while, but I was able to finally get this bushing out. I have a ball joint bushing press kit from AutoZone, and nothing quite fit on it because of how shallow it is here. Stuff wouldn't sit on flush. I'm having to get 2 ratchets, and they kind of worked. 1.5 and a 1 3/16, and it was able to finally get it out. My initial issues when I used the press setup, it just pushed out this stupid middle piece and it left the rest of it. So I had to use the 2 ratchets to press this out, and it kind of mangled it, and also kind of mangled my trailing arm. As you can see here, it left a couple little nicks in it, so I actually got my Dremel and kind of smoothed it out because I didn't want any sharp jagged edges cutting into the bushing. And yeah, so that's that. And then the bushing comes apart, and then it actually presses inside. It's infinitely easier than taking the old ones out, since these are split bushings. So I'm gonna get these lubed up and placed in here, and then I'm gonna see how much of a pain it is to do the other side bushing, which is still in the knuckle. So if it's anything like getting this one off, I don't know. So that's where we're at here. All right, the SuperPro bushing is in. Lots of grease. Haven't put any on the outside. I'll wait until I actually get ready to install it before I put any more on there. That's just kind of what leaked out. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get the one off the hub and hope for a miracle. Tow arms here. I'm going to adjust these out to be equal length and put these in place, and then start working on some of the other components until I can figure out trailing arm bushing. So and yeah, I'm not even gonna try the upper control arm bushing. Got these to be pretty close in length. Did notice that the stock one has this bracket looking thing on the back, which SuperPro does not. I can't remember exactly what clips to that, but I think it's a brake line or something like that, so keep that in mind. I'm not sure what these bolts are. I think they're 24mm. I couldn't find my 24mm, so I was using 25mm. But yeah, so keep that in mind that you're gonna maybe have to zip tie brake line to this, perhaps, and since you can't bolt that little harness piece here. So guess I'll see if I can put this back on the car, make sure I lube it up. All right, go from there. Arm in place. Yeah, it looks like the bolt goes this way in, nuts on this side. I have no idea what those settings were. I should have marked that, so it's probably way off, but whatever. I believe it's 19mm nut and bolt. Yeah, 19 for this, and I believe they're all 81.1 foot-pounds. At least it says it in the manual. Those are 81. It doesn't really say here, but it's the same size. I'm guessing 81 for this. I'm gonna lock these down. I'm gonna try this damn trailing arm bushing again, but I'm thinking I'm gonna pull the brakes off. I have to do the brakes anyway, so maybe I'll roll the brakes into this video as well. Yeah, so that'll be exciting. So I'm gonna pull this rotor off, heat shield, which should open up room to put the C-clamp back on there, and maybe I can get that stupid thing pressed out with the C-clamp. I could not do it with the damn Pitman arm puller, so I don't know. Looks like this car will be out of commission for a while. So hopefully by the time I put this video up, everything will be completed. All right, tow arms on. It's actually a 22mm bolt, 19mm nut. I did it to 82 pounds. The castle nut, I don't know what the torque spec is. I was torquing the crap out of it and it was not clicking at 82, so I'm not sure what it is. I just took it real tight, and of course it was, these bolts seem like they're a lot longer than the factory bolts maybe, so it's actually up past the castle nut spot. So I just kind of twisted this in there to hopefully it doesn't back up, give it some, I don't know. So hopefully it's not over torqued or anything like that. I'm gonna see about removing this hub, this with my rotor calipers. See if I can pull this heat shield off. I'm not sure if it's attached or not, and see if I can get better access to the lower bushing.